Hi guys, I wanted to put a video up today and I wasn't quite sure. I actually wasn't going to do this morning, but then I thought it'd be nice to put a video out today. So I hope you're all having a really nice day, and what we're going to do is just kind of do some really simple fun florals that we can use in our journals to create like a little paper bouquet, to create a paper wreath or anything like that. So the footage here is actually how I started my morning out. So I've got my planner and I've actually been working on these watercolor palettes. So I am hoping to put out, I've actually had some pigments for a couple of years now that I just haven't been sure what to do with. So they're really hard to find pigments, and I wanted to kind of make some handmade watercolors. I wasn't exactly sure what to do, but so I was working on these this morning and then I thought I'd put this video out. So I'm just taking the scrap pieces of the paper palettes here. So this is the Saunders Waterford 300 GSM. It's the really nice, it's like my favorite watercolor. It's, you know, the really optimum quality. So I am going to take, and you can see here I'm giving you a little peek of the pigments. And I'm thinking to create, that's peach agate and some gold luster dust and just a few of, you know, my favorite sort of palettes there, some garnet and thulite and a few other things. So anyway, so we're going to take the sort of offcuts of these palettes and just use those to create. I actually thought I was going to keep them to make some handmade cotton paper, but I think we're just going to use them to create like a little paper bouquet. So I'm just going to sort of tear the edges off and just make them a little bit more square and a bit more easier to work with, and that's the first step. So I've also grabbed this little booklet, and I'm thinking that I might use the back page of, you know, one of the paintings that didn't work out as well if I need any extra paper, but we don't end up needing it, so that's okay. And then I'm just grabbing all the supplies. So I'm going to use my sort of travel kit of watercolors and my like travel kit of the pencil palette that I made. So there's a video of all of these colors, you know, of both things on my channel. And so we're just going to jump in now with some watercolor, and what I was thinking of doing, we're just doing really loose florals. So I was thinking of doing kind of a side version of sort of a rose, and then I was thinking I kind of changed that, and so I just do a very basic 5-petal flower or kind of a rose. So you can see I'm just, you know, I did the sort of basic flower pretty loosely. I'm leaving some white bits, and now I'm just dropping extra colour in where I think it's needed. And so as this dries, the colours will soften, they'll blend together a little bit, and they will also not be as bright. So you can drop a little bit of extra colour on than, you know, you think you might need, so that it goes to the right colour. But we can also glaze over the top of it with like another layer of watercolour, but I think so, and I'll do a little bit of that, and then we will also use some pencil. So you can see here I'm just doing really loose florals, and the colors that I'm using are, I started out with Opera Rose, and then I've gone to, I think it's Daniel Smith or Schminker, and then I've gone to a Jaune Brilliant number 2, I believe, by Holbein. And now I'm using Rhodonite by Daniel Smith. So I'm just kind of working my way through the pinks and peachy kind of spectrum. So I'm using Brilliant Pink by Holbein now, and you can see that I'm going back, and even though I want it to be that really soft light pink that I first put down, I know that the colour's going to evaporate a bit, so I go in and put a little and strengthen the colour and put a little bit more colour on. And now I'm using Potter's Pink by, oh, I'm not sure who this is, but I think this is a Winsor & Newton Potter's Pink. And so I left this little bit of footage in. Here I go in with some brown in the middle of the flower, and I really don't like it. And so, you know, what's a really easy thing when you're painting, you can either dab it off, you can pull it off with your brush, or like right here you can see I'm just going to get some of that peach colour and I'm just going to go straight over the top of it. And that's one nice thing about, you know, painting or anything like that. You can, you know, fix it however you want to do that. So now we're just going to paint a whole bunch of floral buds, and I'm just kind of going with like what I think. I don't really have a reason that I'm picking any of the colours here. I'm just doing a few of each colour so that hopefully once we put the bouquet together they'll all come together nicely. So the one I'm using now, and I'm actually shocked that I didn't use it more, was the shell pink, and then back to the Potter's Pink. So you can see I'm kind of grabbing paint, and then if I don't have enough water on the brush, I just go in for more water. I don't need to actually go in for more paint yet, so that's a good tip. And then basically the colours I'm using here are Composed Green from Holbein and Fuchsite from Daniel Smith, and then I think I use a few other Daniel Smith greens as well. So you can see here again I'm going back in with colour and just dropping that in to let that sort of blend on the paper. The other thing I forgot to mention is the brush that I'm using. So this is the Da Vinci 2/0 brush. It's the Pour de Gris or something like that. So it's basically like a mop brush, but yeah, the handle's not, I really love the actual brush part of it, but the handle's very, very light, so I'd prefer a sturdier handle on it. Here you can see I'm just cutting all the shapes out, and I'm just basically imagining a floral shape around it, so like some larger petals around all of these, and then just cutting white space into it. So you could, you know, sketch this out if you wanted to. I'm just sort of going with the flow and just creating the white space as we go. So you can see here I've cut them all out. Okay, so our next step is, you know, at this stage you could either glaze them with watercolors once they're dry and just create another layer of watercolor. But I think today I just want to use some pencil over the top. So it's going to be in the same loose style as the florals themselves. So we're just going to get the pencil and kind of create some strokes, and we'll talk about it as we go through. So I've realised it's hard to sort of hold the little pieces and with the pencil and the camera and everything, so I'm just gonna pick that up and do it a little bit closer. And so it's a bit hard because I'm not really on a flat surface here, but you can kind of see what I'm doing, and the this pencil works out really nicely because it's a really bright sort of fluoro pink, so it really stands out on the paper. And I'm just basically going from the middle out and just creating some little, like the floral veins that are in the petals. So I'm trying to use a bit of variety here. So I've gone in and I've gotten the peach out, and I was hoping that would sort of show up a bit, but the paper's still a little bit wet, so it hasn't fully dried, and so the pencil just isn't showing up. So I grabbed the gold and it shows up a little bit, but it's still struggling. So if you want to use pencil over the top, you do want to, you know, for the best results, you do want to wait until it's fully dry. And so this isn't something that I had planned, or I haven't really done these before, so I am just sort of going through this with you guys. I am just kind of making it up as I go and seeing what works and what doesn't. And, you know, it's nice to try it, and then probably if I did it again, I'd do some different things. You can see here as well for the leaves, I've just done the same thing. So I've just gotten a different sort of coloured pencil and done a few strokes like from the base up. And so once you have all the flowers that you want to use and everything's cut out, basically from here it's up to you how you want to do it. So You know, you could create a trail of flowers through your notebook. You could create just a whole page, like a pocket page or like a vase on a page, and kind of put them on stems and put them in the vase on the page. You could create all different kinds of things. So right here I was kind of trying to create a bouquet, and I wasn't really sure exactly how, like where I was going to put it, but I just wanted to see how everything would lay out. And in the end I sort of finished this, and I realized that I would need quite a few more leaves to fill in the gaps here, and I just didn't have any more time, so I went with a couple of different options. So I've sort of played around with a couple of different things, and now I'm going to grab my journal out and see how I can actually translate what I was thinking about into something that I can use for my journal. So I sort of scrap all those ideas, and then I just start to kind of play in the pages in my journal and see what I can create there. So these were my finished pages. This is what I end up with. I kind of did a half wreath on this page, and I can kind of write around it, and then I did like a floral sort of motif on this page, and I just really loved the sort of pop of pink on this page and kind of brightened the whole page. So that's what I ended up with. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you next week. Bye.